How might your life have been different if there was a religion for you? A religion that honored you as a woman, as made equal in the image of God. Welcome to Heretica, her eco-feminist theology podcast. My name is Elena and I am an eco-feminist theologian. Please subscribe at theologyofher.substack.com. Mary Magdalene in the Gospel of Luke. The Luke and Mary Magdalene, a cured woman in the company of Jesus. Luke's Gospel is the only narrative where we meet Mary Magdalene during Jesus' public ministry in Galilee. She is mentioned among some women who accompany Jesus on his journey from one city to another. Luke specifies that those women had been cured of evil spirits and infirmities. In the case of Mary Magdalene, 7 demons had gone out from her. Firstly, Mary Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had gone out. Luke 8:2-3. Luke puts much emphasis on the healing of Mary Magdalene and other women, and on the fact that they provided for Jesus and the 12 from their resources. The women thus used to follow Jesus during his Galilean ministry in the way that disciples do, with Mary Magdalene's name being mentioned once more first, signifying her as the most important among the women. But Luke sees the service of the women as financial support, not as disciples. It's believed that Mary Magdalene was indeed from a wealthy family, and although in a patriarchal society it was rare for a woman to have wealth, Mary Magdalene seems to be the rebel or the feminist of her time, where she was able to access wealth and use it as she pleased. Because of this, it's believed that this is why she was labeled the whore, not because she was a prostitute literally as we understand it, but because she did not follow the norms of what women were doing in her time. She was, so to speak, loose and did not have a male guardian as all other women were expected to have. Researchers who think that there were women disciples in the Jesus movement give a theological meaning to the financial support of the women. For them, it is a form of self-giving service to Jesus. Sharing their goods was one of their ways to express their discipleship of Jesus. Other commentators who do not believe that there were women among the close followers of Jesus accord no great significance to the supporting role. They see providing necessary things the only responsibility of the women in the company of Jesus. This activity was not considered very important. In fact, the women did not do more than they were used to doing in their private households. Many feminist writers accuse Luke of having reduced the role and the significance of the woman to this economic activity. Luke seems to avoid presenting the women as disciples. When it comes to Mary Magdalene and the 7 demons that were cast out from her, I will come back to this in a future podcast where we explore the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Yet, I will mention how it is commonly accepted today that Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute, and the fact that she was released from 7 demons does not imply that she was a sinful woman. The sinful image was the result of combining different biblical narratives that involved both Mary Magdalene and other female characters in the Gospels. Mary Magdalene today, despite the misconceptions in the reception history of her character, has become a symbol of feminine strength. Second, in Luke, we see the anonymous woman at the cross and the burial. Similar to Mark and Matthew, Luke tells his readers that the women who were standing at a distance from the cross were watching everything with a salvic significance. So we see again the presence of Mary Magdalene at the cross, but always by way of stating that she was not a disciple. So we see again the presence of Mary Magdalene at the cross, but always by stating that she was not a disciple, but had a supporting role, emphasizing how only males could be disciples. Even though Luke makes sure that the women are not seen as disciples, he does not take away the significance of their seeing the crucifixion and the burial. Luke states that many women going up to the tomb. According to Luke, the women are again the ones who go to the tomb on the first day. The reason for this is the same as in Mark, namely to anoint Jesus. I have explained already that anointing was part of the burial rituals and that it became an important motif in the popular imagination concerning Mary Magdalene and the woman visiting the tomb. The women in Luke immediately go into the tomb and see that it's empty. The most important, innovative element in Luke's redaction is that the women are not explicitly asked to announce the news of the resurrection to the disciples and to send them to Galilee. Luke is thus the only gospel in which women receive the message of the resurrection for their own sake, and not as messengers to the other male disciples or brothers. However, even though the women were not asked to announce what they had heard, they went and told the disciples what had happened. This is a spontaneous action on the part of the women. But the women are not believed. This is expressed in two ways. These words seem to be an idle tale, and they did not believe them. Luke emphasizes that everybody heard everything from the woman, but stresses the fact that their words are not believed. It is as if their message is of no importance. On the basis of this evidence, it seems difficult to defend that Luke wanted to depict the women at the tomb as apostles. In Luke it states that Peter went to the tomb, saw the linen cloths by themselves, and returned home. Surprisingly, the text says nothing as to whether Peter understood what he saw. On the contrary, he was amazed. Does this imply that the women have a greater understanding than Peter? On the other hand, this event also diminishes the role of the woman, because Luke, in the Synoptic Gospels, and Synoptic Gospels are the three Gospels of Mark, Matthew, and Luke, where a male disciple sees the empty tomb. In Luke, Mary Magdalene is part of a group of many women when going to the tomb. In Luke, at the end, not the women but Peter is the one who receives the protophany, the first resurrection appearance. In Luke's Gospel, unlike Matthew and John, the risen Christ is not reported to have appeared to any woman. Thank you once again, and next week we will see the final Gospel, the Gospel of John. How might your life have been different if there was a religion for you? A religion that affirmed you as a woman, as equal to man, and made in the image of God. How might your life have been different? Heretica, her eco-feminist theology educational podcast.